Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a sort of Christmas inspired look, and I'm going to try out a couple of new products today, including the primer, and this is going to be a very sort of traditional kind of Christmas look with a red lip and a nice sort of soft eye, because that's just what I prefer. So I'm going to start off with a primer, and I have the number 7 advent calendar, and in one of the days, basically, you got the Airbrush Away primer, this little small one here. I haven't tried this yet, so I am going to use it today to see what it is like. So I just popped a bit onto the back of my hand, and I'm just going to apply it onto my face using my fingers. That feels actually quite nice. Sort of smooths my skin out, which is what it says it will do as well, but I'm always a bit skeptical because I have a lot of bumps and stuff on my skin, because I haven't had the best week in terms of skin. So for foundation, I'm going to use my L'Oreal True Match in the shade Golden Ivory, which is 1W, I think. I've recently been using the Rose Ivory, which is the more pink based one, but I find that it's a bit too pink for my skin because it matches my face, but my neck is a bit more yellow. So I went and picked up the more yellow toned one because I wanted to see how that looks on my skin compared to the other one, and I think they are very similar. This is a bit more yellow, which is to be expected, but other than that I think they're fairly similar. I'm also a bit worried this might be a bit dark because I have worn this a couple times before and it has looked a bit dark, but I'm not sure. But it looks very nice on the skin, so it's probably my favourite foundation. Maybe not my favourite shade in the foundation, but it's my favourite foundation. So I'm just going to pop that on my skin using a Real Technique sponge. I am then going to move on to concealer to conceal any of the spots that I have, and I do have a couple, and also underneath my eyes using my Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Fair. Kind of worried that this is going to be a bit too pink toned for this foundation, but we're going to have to make it work because it's the only concealer I have that isn't super dark. And I'm also going to blend this in using my Real Techniques sponge. And this is a bit pinker than the foundation, so I'm curious to see how the finished result is going to be, because it's just... I'm not sure about that, but hey ho. It almost looks like I have applied a highlighter to my face because it is quite a lot more pink and paler. It's a lot paler than the actual foundation, but I don't think it looks too bad when it's blended in. But that's my opinion of it. I'm not sure how that translates on camera, but the difference doesn't look too bad on my skin when it is blended in, so it probably does look a bit different on camera, but yeah. I will then be taking my loose powder, which is now empty because I just took the last of it and poured it into the cap, to bake my under eye area, and I'm just going to pat underneath my eyes with my finger first because I do have lines underneath my eyes that concealer tend to crease into, and I don't want that to be super emphasised before I have set my foundation. Just like that. Well, my eye area looks like a ghost. I'm just going to do the same to the other eye, and I'm also going to take this powder onto my chin area because I have tendency to rest my chin on my hand and touch my chin a lot. So foundation always rubs off there first. But I find whenever I do set it with this powder in the sort of baking method, it does last a bit longer. I'm then going to go on to my eyebrows, and I'm going to take my Shiseido eyebrow pencil and lightly define them a little bit to even them out, and also to give them a bit more colour. I think they look a bit pale. I will then be setting my eyebrows with my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Plumper, I think, in the shade light to medium. I am going to go and set the rest of my skin using my Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. And I also just whisked away any of the excess powder left over from baking around my under eyes and chin particularly. I'm just going to go over this, over my entire face using this powder. I'm sorry if my skin looks really dry. It is very dry at the moment, so it's a bit dry and cakey some places, but I'm going to move on to my eyes, and I'm going to start with my e.l.f. primer. I'm going to put that all over my lid and blend that out with my fingers. And for my eyeshadow, I'm going to use one eyeshadow only today, or for the majority of the eyelid and crease. I'm going to use this number 7 Stay Perfect eyeshadow in the shade Truffle, which is a gorgeous warm brown with some golden shimmer to it. And I'm just going to grab this onto an eyeshadow brush and pop that on the lid, also up to the crease, and I'm just going to blend the edges later. So I'm just going to place the shadow first and I'm going to blend afterwards. And yes, I do tilt my head back whenever I apply eyeshadow, because that way I don't have to close my eyes, so that I can sort of see how it looks with my eye open. Because it's a bit weird having to close one eye, because you do kind of pull a bit of weird faces, but I'm just going to pop that in like that. And I'm then going to take, if I can find it, this is the Real Techniques Base Shadow Brush, and it's my favourite brush for blending eyeshadow. So I'm just going to blend the edges of that, and that just blends super nicely, like that, and that is sort of the entire eye look done. I am going to grab, this is the Walking on Eggshells palette by Wet n Wild, and I'm going to use the top shade, which is labelled Brow Bone, as my highlighting shade, if I can find a brush. Yeah, I'm going to use that to highlight my brow bone. I'm just going to whisk that underneath my eyebrow, because that just adds a nice little bit of sheen there. And then for my inner corner highlight, I do want a bit of extra sparkle, so I'm going to use my L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in Hourglass Beige, which is gorgeous and super sparkly. And of course I didn't bring the right brush for this, oh well. I'm just going to use the same brush because I forgot my other one and I can't be bothered to get it now. And I'm just going to pop that into the inner corner. Sort of blend it a little bit down on my lower lash line. And a little bit into the colour on the lid. Like that. Then for underneath my eye on my lower lash line, I am going to go back to the number 7 shade. And I am just going to use the same brush that I used to apply it on the lid. And just pop that along my lashes, not super far down, but I'm kind of using the width of the brush there and just running that along. That just helps darken up my lower lash line a bit, giving it a bit of extra definition. And it sort of just ties in the look. And I just tie the colours together at the outer corner. Like that. And I'm just going to blend a little bit. Just to make sure all the edges are nice and smooth. So I ended up having to go in with the primer on my lower lash line because the eyeshadow did not want to stick. And I ended up building up the intensity on my top eyelid, on my eyelid, by just pressing the colour on with my finger. I will then, if I can find it, there you go. I'm then going to take my Milani Shadow Eyes and Almond Cream and run that on my waterline. Just to brighten my eyes a little bit. So I have just done my other eye and they're not super even, but this is about the best I can get. The eyeshadow had a bit more fallout than I thought it would, so it was a bit of a mess, but I thought it turned out good in the end, so I really like this. I'm now going to apply my mascara, and this is the Max Factor Masterpiece Transform High Impact Volumizing Mascara, and I'm just going to curl my lashes first. For my contour, I'm going to use the Isadora Face Sculptor in the shade Nude. I'm going to take the contour shade on a contour brush. I'm just going to use a little bit. I don't want it too much. I'm just going to define my cheekbones a little bit. And I'm also going to blend a little bit of the bronzer shade over the top, just because I prefer a bit of a warmer contour. And I don't know, I just think it works best with my skin, at least today with the warmer or more yellow toned foundation. And I'm going to grab a bit of the bronzer, just a tiny bit on the brush, and go on the sides of my nose. And I'm also going to mix the contour and the bronzer together on the brush and run that along my jaw. Just to give that a bit of definition there. And then I'm just going to blend so there's no harsh lines. For my blush, I'm going to use my Milani Baked Blush in Dolce Pink. And I'm going to use this on my Isadora Face Sculptor brush. And I'm just going to dab that in. And press that onto my cheeks. And this blush also has a good amount of shimmer to it, so I'm not going to add any highlighter. Then for my lips, and I'm going to do a red lip, and I have brought out a ton of different shades. I have one from MAC Viva Glam, which is a bit of a frosty red. I have one from L'Oreal, which is a very nice matte red, which is pretty bright. And then I have one from Rimmel, which is a bit of a darker red. And I have my red lip liner. But I am going to go for my next one, which probably looks the least red out of all of them. And it's a bit more plummy purple. But I just like this on the lips a lot, so I'm just going to pop that on. This is my holiday Christmas type inspired look, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon. Bye!